Hi, family, and welcome to We Are Royalty 101. I am Royalty, and I wanted to get on here today and just lift Black love up on a throne. Seeing that I was, putting a lot of energy into defending Halle Bailey, and I just want to honor those relationships that has stood the test of time in regards to those that are in the entertainment industry. I wanted to go ahead and just honor a few couples that have, done years together and just put a positive spin on all the negativity. Okay, you guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video and remember to subscribe. Ashe.
And then all the way to Isis and Osiris, Meritite and Kahai. The Black woman and the Black man being together and, holding each other up on pedestals. This is nothing new. The reason that this is ostracized is because Black love means Black wealth. When you have a couple that sticks together, baby, you have, Black wealth, you have, you're raising your children to see what it means to be dedicated, to stick by someone's side with loyalty, love, respect, and honor. When you see Black love reigning on the throne, you have to know that, there is going to be a benefit in that. And so I wanted to just honor some of the couples in the Hollywood scene that has been in the industry who has stuck by their loved ones through thick and thin, because when we leave the Black woman, we leave our Black children. And so I just want to pay homage and, honor those who have stuck by each other's side. Ice Cube and his wife, Kimberly. Ice Cube and Kimberly, they have been together since the beginning of it all. I call it the beginning of it all because I grew up on Ice Cube. And Ice Cube and his wife, they are ride or dies for each other. And, just like I said, they've done 3 decades together. I think it's 35 years now. Like, I love them, He met her in high school, she was with him before the rap game. She was with him before all the glitz and the glam. And you got to know Ice Cube, he's done it all. He's a rapper, he's an actor, he's done the movies Friday and a whole bunch of others, that, really shows that, a Black man can be in that industry and still keep his head on straight, keep his his penis in his pants, and know how to stick by his woman and his family. That's what I see when I see Ice Cube and his wife. I see, a couple that has pretty much been through it all and said, no matter what, we're going to ride this out. And then we also have Denzel Washington and his wife. Denzel Washington and his wife, Paulette. They've been together for going on 45 years now. They've been together for 4 decades, and it's just like, when you think about these couples, and when you look at these couples, Denzel Washington and his wife, you don't see her changing her look, or she still got her afro puff, and she's still rocking her dark skin. She didn't try to lighten her skin or get alterations and all these types of things so that she can fit into society's idea of what she should look like. This woman has stood by her man, cooking him soul food, rubbing his back and his feet, making sure that he was loved down thoroughly from an African goddess. She didn't change herself to try to fit in or to try to keep her man. So that's one thing I want to say. We don't need to change ourselves. There is nothing wrong with the African woman. Like I said, we started this. We started this whole thing all the way back from ancient times in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, all the way back to the Atlantis time. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott, they have basically put it on the map that, through the storms, you can basically make shit happen. Excuse my language, but you can make things happen. It doesn't matter what you're going through, because a lot of couples, they get divorced because of, just financial problems. It doesn't take much sometimes for couples to divorce or to, leave each other's side. But we can look at these couples such as Martin Luther King and see, they were going through life-threatening situations and stuck by each other's side. Coretta Scott could have left Martin a million times just because her and her children's life was in danger. But she stuck by his side knowing that, what she had invested in from the beginning is what she was going to continue investing in until the end. And of course, we got to talk about Malcolm and Betty, because Malcolm X and Betty, they're another couple that stood the test of time. And these women held their men down, which tells you a lot about the black woman and how she will not only love everyone else, as she has historically loved everyone else and nurtured everyone else. She will love her man endlessly to the end of times, and it's only, when a black woman is being hurt in a way and she's not being honored, that she can turn on you. She can be a blessing or a curse. But these women stood by their men. They were a blessing to their men. And, they were, their lives were in danger at times, and they did not leave their men's side. And that is why I, have to speak so loudly about, the black man always leaving the black woman, the darker complected woman, for another race. After all we've done to hold you down and scratch your back and hold you up, for you to not honor us in the way that we should be honored, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go to Barack Obama and Michelle. They've been through the storms. They rose to the top. Nothing was able to stop them, and it just shows you how far a couple can go if they're willing to stick together. There's nothing you can't do. There's no mountain you can't climb. Like that song said, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, and ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. Okay, you guys don't be laughing. I know that y'all know I like to sing. But at the end of the day, you guys, Barack and Obama shows you, what black love can take you, where it can take you, what it can do for you. If you're willing to stick by each other's side, communication is key, and I know that, if you ask a lot of these couples, what was the glue that held them together, they would tell you, it's trust and it's love and it's honoring each other. And number one is you have to respect each other. Okay, and then we're going to go on to, I love this couple, Mendici and Yandy and Mendici, because, they're one of the couples that, was actually on, the reality TV shows. And those reality TV show relationships never last. But, for this couple, they got together, they have 3 beautiful children now, they're married, and, it's just, their life is just moving forward, and, I can say Yandy does have Mendici's back, and Mendici definitely has Yandy's back, in every way, shape, form, and fashion. And I can just honestly say, these couples deserve to be put on the pedestal, because it's not easy, especially when you're in the limelight and you're in that industry. It is so hard. I can't say, that, I've ever been in a celebrity situation, but what I can say is I have a very sharp eye, and I can see, those that have just been weak in the game versus those who are standing the test of time. And then we're not going to forget about Kelly Rowland, because Kelly Rowland and her husband, Tim Witherspoon, they definitely have, shown that, you can be a part of that industry, and raise a beautiful family and stick together, not letting anything come between you, because a lot of these, women, what shall I say, Kelly Rowland, she was in the limelight for a very long time. And, marrying Tim, I guess, it was something that, was just really meant to be. It was really meant to be. And, they have these beautiful children now together. And, they don't see each other. They don't see anyone but each other. He is the apple of her eye and she is the apple of his eye. And then we're going to move on to Angela Bassett and her husband, Courtney. I really love that couple, because Angela Bassett, she is such a boss, and, it just shows that, an African woman can, be more than what they have tried to portray us to be. We can be in that industry and not be looked upon as prostitutes, hoes, somebody's, what would you call it? Somebody's bae, or somebody's stripper or concubine or whatever. It's like we have been given so many images, And just like I said, it's dated all the way back to ancient times that we have been running the show. Okay, we have been running this show. And so I just want to give a round of applause to Black Love. If you're in a relationship right now and you're not feeling very strong in that relationship, go back to what you fell in love with from the beginning with that person that you're looking at. You may not be feeling them right now, but if you just hang in there, as long as you're not being abused, beaten, or cheated on, you weather that storm and you stick it out. Because just like I said, Ice Cube, he is like a superstar when it comes to just sticking by his family, as well as the rest of these couples that I have mentioned. And just like I said, Ice Cube was in the game. I'm talking about around all the video vixen hoes, all kind of strippers, just everything just was falling at his feet. I mean, the women was throwing their panties at this man, and he stuck by his African goddess. You have to understand that if you have a man that knows who he is, he will not forget who you are to them. And, if you have a woman who knows who she is as an African goddess, then she's not going to forget who her African king is to her. You guys, so stand up, honor each other, respect each other, and let's keep this ball rolling. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they say, in each and every single way, I am royalty. You are royalty. We are royalty, family, and I shall see you in a minute.
Hi, family, and welcome to We Are Royalty 101. I am Royalty. Hi, family, and welcome to We Are Royalty 101. I am Royalty, and I wanted to get on here today and just lift Black love up on a throne. I'm just, seeing that I was, putting a lot of energy into defending Halle Bailey, and I just want to honor those relationships that has